So many HVAC companies track change orders, right? And how often they happen, but how many do you think measure whether the change order is profitable? So if your change order margin isn't as strong as your base contract margin, you're doing extra work and you're making less money. And so that's what I want to show here. And so what we have is a data set. And if you want this file, including the completed solution, there's a link to download it, or just shoot me your email, or just shoot me an email, and I'll send it your way. Well, don't want to do that. So pretty basic. I mean, you're gonna have something like this. You can get this from Service Titan, from whatever software you're using, or you can recreate it. But essentially, project ID, when did it start? What it like market is, it residential or commercial, system type, and then PM name, and then you have your base value, you have your change value, and then you have the cost. So you need these two columns. And then we're going to take the difference. So we have the dollar margin here, and then we take the 1880 and we divide it by the 3670, but we do it at the level of PM and system type. So we're going to have to sum a lot of stuff, divided by a lot of stuff to get the percentage. So on this data set, the only thing we have to calculate is CO margin in dollars, which is pretty straightforward, right? It's just going to be change order revenue minus change order cost. And you can do it on all columns, even the zeros, because it's just going to be zero. So whenever you sum everything, it's just going to add zero to the sum. Now, if you have some scenarios where you would have the PM name or combined with the system type where it's all zero, where there was nothing changed, you're going to get an error in your formula. But in this example, we don't have that problem. Okay, so I'm going to delete this column here because we already have it here. But essentially what we're going to need is we need the project manager name, and then we need the system type here. And then we're going to do the sum of the margin dollars divided by the cost, or divided by the revenue. So PM equals unique. And then unique here is going to be the unique of the PM name. And it's in a table. So make sure your data is in a table. And you can do that by pressing Control T. So we have the unique here. And then we want to, let's just sort this alphabetically. Here, with only 3 PMs, it doesn't really matter. But if you have a lot, you would expect to see Brandon at the top and, Lewis towards the middle. And, if you have other names, it's just easier to scan as it's sorted. So I want to show you how to do that. And then the next thing is we want the system type, but we want it across the row so we can, do all the calculations here. And so here equals the unique function again of the table and of the system type. So if you don't remember like every heading in your table, like every column heading, and you open your bracket, you can see them here. And that's, one of the many benefits of a table, but that's a big one. And then just go to whichever column it is, press tab, and then you have that here. But now we want to do the same thing. We want to sort this. And then now we want to put it across the row. So we're going to transpose that. So copy that, and then Control-Shift-V to paste that. And then the next thing we want is we want to do an overall here, and then an overall here. And then in this cell here, what we would get is we would get just overall at the operations level. And so I want to actually start there just to show you the real value of these things. And so the overall value is just going to be the sum of this, right? Because this is only these two columns. So it's the sum of the dollar margin divided by the revenue. So super straightforward to do. If you've used Excel, but if you haven't, then I'll show you right here. So equal sum, we want to sum that, and we want to sum the table for margin, the margin dollars here. So we have this, and now we want to divide this by the revenue for change orders. So sum table, you can do, change order revenue, close your bracket, close your parentheses, and then now you have 45%, right? But this one thing alone, it doesn't really tell you much. I mean, it does, but it doesn't, right? As you get more and more granular, that's where the value is. And so that's the value of knowing these formulas. And so equals SUMIFS, we want to sum the margin dollars for controls and retrofit in Brandon Shaw and divide it by the change order revenue for controls, retrofit, and Brandon Shaw. So again, SUMIFS, the table, and we can do margin dollars, comma, again, the table, and then you can do PM or you can do the system type. It doesn't matter. This, after you do the value as the first argument, the other ones, if you have 2, 3, 4, 5 different arguments, it's not going to matter. So the PM name, and the PM name is here, comma, again, table, system type, close your bracket, add a comma, controls retrofit. So this, again, this is the total margin that Brandon Shaw made on change orders for controls. And so all we have to do now is divide this. I'm going to copy and paste the formula, but make sure you add the backslash to divide. But now instead of the margin dollars, we want total revenue, change order revenue. And now you have the percent. And then we want to drag this over and drag it down, but we can't yet because the formula has a bug. Well, it's not really a bug, it's sort of a feature, I guess. But as we drag it down, you'll notice we want controls, but if we drag it down, it moves down. And if we drag it across, we want, you can sort of see the blue here. Like we want the PM, but as we drag it across, it's coming over with it. So we need to tell Excel, like, hey, don't do that. So anywhere you want to be able to go over and you want the column to stay the same, like the PM, you need to find that cell. So it's B3, it's the blue one, even though yours might not be blue, and just put a $ before it. You can just shift 4. Or I'll show you here. You can cycle through with the F4 key. And then for the row, just put your $ in the middle, before the number and after the letter. Essentially, the numbers are rows. So you want to lock the row by putting the $ before. Wherever you put the $, whatever's directly after that is what you're locking. And now you can copy and paste. Make sure you copy and paste. You still can't drag it. Like you can't do this because the way tables work, but you can copy and paste. And then now we want an overall. So I'm going to copy this here, paste it here, and then remove the PM because we want overall for controls, overall by system type. So just anywhere you see that, just delete it. And then I always say delete by the color, but you can see the color just change from blue to red. So make sure you just delete those columns. But also make sure you don't delete too much. Like you can see here, I deleted the column, or the comma. Perfect. Now, copy and paste. You can get the percentage that way. Same thing here. So I'm just going to copy and paste. I'm going to get an error because what it's doing is it's looking for the word overall in the system type, which isn't there, right? And then now I'm just going to delete the system type section of the formula. Copy, paste it down, and then we already did overall. But yeah, so now you can get really granular, right? So in other words, what we can do, you can have a target cell if you want. Let's just say target 40%. So that's one way to do it, and I'll show you. Let me just remove the formatting here. And so you can just highlight everything and then hold down Control to highlight this as well. Go to Home, Conditional Formatting, highlight cells less than here, right? So anything that's less than this, you can do 45, right? That means it has a lower margin. Another thing you could do, let me just undo all that formatting. Another thing you could do is you could highlight this, hold down Control, highlight everything except the overall, conditional formatting, highlight cells less than, and then click the overall because this is company-wide. And so now what this is saying is anything red is less than the average of the company you're doing. So either way, whatever works for you. As always, if you have any questions about this stuff, I'm trying to go faster and faster. I don't know if you've watched any of my other videos, but it takes so long to set these problems up sometimes. But if you have any questions, shoot me an email, questions@databoards. If you want this whole file, including the completed solutions to follow along with the formulas, there's a link to download it, or again, shoot me an email. And then finally, if you need some help structuring your data or getting insights into your data, or just want to talk about the best practices, then there's a link to my calendar, or you can just shoot me an email. But anyways, that is all I got for this one, and I'll see you in future videos.